all wish there was, some easy answer, just one thing we could have pointed to that would mean today that those 4 Americans are still here, but we have to let the facts lead where they do. And in this case, the Secretary took a very thorough look at 4 people and their situations and made a determination on what their future should look like.
The 20,000 worldwide State Department employees, there's not a single one of them who acted foolishly, stupidly, neglectfully, so much so that they should lose their job over it.
James, clearly the Accountability Review Board indicated there were deficiencies. Clearly things could have been done better. We have to let the facts lead where they may, and these are people with real lives and real careers, and we can't just take action that's not warranted against them just to make us all feel better.
Charles, not only has no one lost their job, but no one's lost a paycheck.
Look, this is a definition of how to conduct a Stonewall. For all the weeks after Benghazi, remember weeks that took us past Election Day, all administration answers to all questions about the Benghazi fiasco were, well, we can't talk, it's under investigation, we're waiting for the ARB. Then you get the ARB report, and then everybody afterwards says, well, it's all in the ARB report. What did it say? Responsibility stops at the Assistant Secretary level. These are the people who botched it, and they will be put on leave. Stage 3 is now where the new Secretary of State looks at this and says essentially these people were not responsible, or they don't really carry any accountability. They are back on the job, as you say, without ever missing a paycheck, and no one is held responsible. And remember, in that clip you showed earlier in the show, you had the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, testifying earlier this year that she wants the law changed so that she should have and would have had the power to fire the 4 who are now absolved. It looks as if this is a complete, and this was suggested by one of the 4 who was accused, Raymond Maxwell, who said it looks as if a way to protect Hillary Clinton. Whatever the intent was, it surely is a Clinton protection operation in effect.
Charles, no one held accountable at the State Department so far. No one under arrest so far. They have been indicted from afar, from what we were charged from afar, from what we can tell, but we haven't captured anybody or killed anybody.
It is remarkable that all this has occurred. And as you say, none of the bad guys has even been questioned, let alone arrested. None of the people in the government who were responsible. Remember, in August, this is a month before the attack, the ambassador who was later killed pleaded for about the security situation. And there is nobody who's responsible. Add on to that, we still don't know what the president was doing during the 8 hours of that attack. Where was he? What orders were given? Were any of them countermanded? And of course, we all know about the cover-up and the cover story that went out afterwards as a way to insulate the administration from from a critique that its story about Al-Qaeda on the run, terrorism essentially taken care of, was completely false and contradicted by the Benghazi attack.
I'll tell you right now, the single biggest fight in Washington, and I think the most important fight, is the fight to defund Obamacare. Under no circumstances will I vote for a continuing resolution that funds even 1 penny of Obamacare.
I think he is viewed as not necessarily a team player by his fellow Republicans, but down there at the grassroots, a lot of people like him.
Charles.
No, I think that's right. He's positioning himself to be the anti-establishment Republicans, the one who speaks for the truth on principle, who won't waver, won't adapt tactically, and I think that's sort of the essence of his proposal when he says it's the single most important issue in Washington, shutting the government essentially over Obamacare if you can't remove the funds for it. He's made it important, and he's made it sort of his mantra. I think it's a rather easy way to get attention. I think the leadership on this is absolutely right. Anybody who goes with Cruz on this is a member of the Kamikaze Caucus. I agree entirely that if you could stop Obamacare by threatening the continuing resolution and shutting the government, I would support it 100%. But that's not what's going to happen. We know exactly what's going to happen. And it'll hurt the Republicans. And that's why the establishment is in a position of looking unprincipled, and simply thinking about a next election. But in the end, if you want to stop Obamacare, there's only one way: get control of the government.
There's nothing wrong with being a dual Canadian citizen.
Well, if
Why
you're
does-
running for president,
Why
you
is
can't
that-
be a dual citizen.
Well, who says? He's a natural-born U.S. citizen. He's perfectly eligible for the presidency. Okay?
You know what?
Why does he back down and renounce his Canadian citizenship? Why not just say to people, Charles once, I think, was a Canadian citizen. There's nothing wrong with being a dual citizen of the United States and our neighbors to the north. I'm
questions
stunned.
about Labatt's versus
fact-
Miller and hockey versus baseball.
Why doesn't he just tell people what's wrong with it?
Since I know my history a little bit better than you do, I never was a Canadian citizen.
sorry.
But of course he should renounce its citizenship. It's allegiance to another country, and I would say the British Crown. Wasn't our revolution about allegiance to the British Crown?
It's silly for him to surrender to this silly accusation
Even if
of
he
dual
wants to run
loyalty.
for president.
Well, maybe that's different. I mean, maybe.
But isn't that what this is all about?
Yes, it's about political advantage.
Oh,
it's not
come
about
on.
principle or standing up for anything. If I were Ted Cruz, I would say to people, what in the heck is wrong with being a dual citizen of the U.S. and
It's about
Canada?
the symbolism. If you're head of the state of the United States, you are the subject of another state.
This has been a Sunfish production.